Hi everyone, and welcome to another Arma 3 video. This one is going to be a showcase on the Eden Enhanced mod, which is available on the Steam Workshop. I'll post the link in the description. The reason I'm covering this is I actually make mention of Eden Enhanced in many of my tutorial videos, and it appears that some of you guys may not be using it. I'm going to show you tonight the functions and features of Eden Enhanced, what you can do with it, and explain to you why, even if you're a beginner mission maker, you really need to have Eden Enhanced when you're creating missions. So let's get straight into it. Okay, I'm in the editor, and this is a mission that I've made. It's a training mission. I'm going to show you what we can do with individual troops. So I'm going to double left click on this guy, and you will notice the same sort of stuff that you get in the normal Eden editor without Eden Enhanced. But if you scroll down, you've got a lot more options here. You have the special states, which is normal, but you also have these options down here, things like enable captive mode, allow sprinting, force walking, make hostage, start in a parachute, stay on position, and disable deletion on death. And single player respawn tickets. If you're using a single player mission, you can have a number of respawn tickets here, and each time that player respawns, they will chew up one ticket. You've got the object identity, which is similar to the standard stuff in Eden Editor. I'm not sure if all this patch stuff is in there. I think it might be, but that's something that's definitely in Eden. Object presence is normal, equipment storage is normal, electronic sensors normal. Now it has a section for advanced damage, and you'll notice here it has face, neck, head, pelvis, abdomen, diaphragm, chest, body, etc. You can set the damage percentage levels for each of those body parts if you wish, which relates very much, I'm guessing, to the use of the ACE medical system if you are a community that uses that. One of the really cool features here is the ambient animation section. So what I'll do is I'll use this AI guy who's not a playable unit. I'll go down to the ambient animation, and here you can select an ambient animation. I'll just select one, and you've got an option here for can exit. So what that means is you check that if this AI troop is threatened by an enemy, they will exit the animation and they will start to behave like normal AI. They will engage the enemy, take cover, etc. So I'll just click, well, when I'm ready, I'll click OK. Now you have this section here for AI skill levels. So there's a whole heap of different skill levels that you can play around with there. So for example, if you want them to be pretty fearless, you put the courage up to 100, commanding for leading their section up to 100, those sorts of things. Now we've got the AI features tab. Now there's a lot of stuff in here that you can play around with. And one of the brilliant things about this is you can hover over each of these words and it will give you descriptions of what these things do. Okay, so that's stuff you can play with the individual placed units. Unit traits. Is a medic? Are they an engineer? Are they an explosive specialist? Is a UAV dude? Those sorts of things you can also select in there. I'll just close that to make it a bit easier to see. Now if you wanted to have an add hold action on this guy, then, and you knew how to do that, you would put all of your stuff in here, which is pretty cool. I don't generally tend to use that sort of stuff. You have TFAR options, or Task Force Arrowhead Radio, and here it has default short range and default long range frequency. So if you wanted to put a frequency in there for the short and long range radios, when this guy spawns and he has radios, those frequencies will be defaulted on each of his radios. Now it also has a section at the bottom for ACE options, and you can set whether they're an engineer or an advanced engineer. Same for medic. The damage threshold, you can set the unit as handcuffed, make unit surrender, those sorts of things for the ACE options. So they're the sort of things you can do in when you click an individual troop in the editor when you have Eden Enhanced. Now, you can also do exactly the same with playable units. So we can change their abilities here. We can use the advanced damage, set the identity, go to the special states for the unit. So grab this, have a look around and see what sort of stuff you can do. So as you can see, this guy, I set him as having an idle animation, and when the mission starts, he'll be standing there and looking all cool in his gear and just standing around basically idling and doing nothing. Now I'll show you some of the other features of Eden Enhanced that are basic ones that you should probably know about. So before I move on to playing around with vehicles and their loadouts via Eden Enhanced, I will show you that up in the attributes, if we go to General, we've got more options here than you would have in the normal Eden editor. One of those things, which I use all the time, is editable objects. So if you tick this, any items that are placed either in the editor or any items that are spawned in during the mission will then be visible and editable by Zeus. So you may get AI spawn we didn't expect them, or there's too many of them, or not enough of them, or they're in the wrong place. You can then use Zeus to edit them, move them around, make more, take some out. You've also got the option here to hide friendly units, hide hostile units, hide mines, hide tactical pings, and once you select all these, you save and export your mission, all of those parameters will be saved to your mission. So that is a really important one. I've mentioned that one quite a few times in my tutorials. Next one is, and this is an interesting one, is an airdrop. Okay, so what this does will create a parachute drop for your mission in a location that you decide. I'll quickly show you how that works. What we need to have is a position. And the best way to have a position is to go to props and type in invisible. And we have an invisible helipad. So that's a helipad recognized by the mission, especially AI helicopter pilots. And I'm going to use left control, left click, and I'm going to drag that up into the air. And what I want to do is get the position of this item. So I'm going to right click, go to log, and then across to log position to clipboard. Now I'm going to go back into general, down to the airdrop. I'm going to highlight that and just press Control V, and that's now pasted the position of the paradrop, which is the position in the mission or the map of that thing there. Now what I want to do is I want to paradrop some troops. So I'm going to grab some Aussie guys in a assault team. I'm going to place them down. I'll have a cover team as well. I'm going to highlight all of these guys. Right click, log classes to clipboard. Going to go back to general, down to airdrop. I'm going to paste them all in there. Now, one thing with these is you need to separate all these with a comma at the end. Okay. And you don't need to put a comma on the last one. Change the condition to true. The altitude will be 500 meters and an area radius that you want them to pop down into. Side blue for, and we're going to click OK. So when we start the mission, not only will we get this guy here doing his groovy idling animation, but we'll also get these guys, or the class names for those guys, parachute out of an aircraft from that position. So let's see how that works. Okay, so I'm going to take that point out, go back up to attributes general, and I'm going to set the condition to false because I don't want that to happen again. I'm going to take out the position and I'm going to take out all of the class names, or you can just hit reset and disable. The next one is something else you can throw in there to make things look a bit more immersive, and that is the ambient flyby. So what we need for this is a class name of an aircraft, a start, an end position, set altitude, speed and side, and a delay. So again, I'm going to use the good old invisible helipad, and I'm going to grab 2 of those. I'll put one here, highlight, Control C, Control V to copy it. I'm going to drag this one up in the air and put it over here somewhere. And I'll drag this one and I'll put it over here somewhere, up into the air. So I need to get to the start position. So on this invisible helipad, I'm going to right click, go to log, position to clipboard, back to attributes general, and the starting position, just Control V. And I'm going to then grab the end position, right click, log, position to clipboard, back to attributes general, and that's the end position. I'm going to set the altitude as 200 meters. Now I need an aircraft. You can use any of the aircraft you like, and I'm probably going to grab and use, let's see, a plane A10, put that down, right click, log classes to clipboard, back to attributes general, just copy the class name in there, and when the mission starts, you'll get an ambient flyby of that guy from over there to over there. Oh, we got the power drop again, even though I got rid of it. Okay, no problem. Let's have a look for our A10 that's going to come in and do an ambient flyby. And I'll just accelerate time a little because the delay for the flyby is 60 seconds. And that is the minimum delay that you can have. And there he is. He's at 200 meters. He's at normal speed. And he started at that point where I placed the first invisible helipad, which was the location. And then he'll take off in his straight line down to the next point. Now, if you're going to be using that, be careful, because if you set a delay of 60 seconds, every minute you will have the same flyby by the same aircraft along the same path, and you can only have one if you're using Eden Enhanced to do it. Also, in general attributes, you have the option to put in a briefing here. So you can type in your situation, mission, execution, signals. That's for Bluefall. You can do the same for Op4 and Independent. And when you click OK, that will come up as part of the briefing that you can select from in-game. Another thing we have here is an establishing shot. Now, I've used this, I've tested this a few times. It doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to. I may be doing something wrong, but pretty much I'll quickly show you how that works. So I'll grab a one of these invisible helipads again, bring it back over near to where I am, and I drag this down a little. And now I'm going to right click and log the position to clipboard, back to attributes general, and down to, that's really annoying, center position in the establishing shot, and displayed text. I'm just going to say Badlands and hit OK, and that should then give me a sort of an intro, basic intro establishing shot sort of thing. So top left you can see the time, the date, and the word Badlands, which is what I typed in there. And to progress, you can either wait or you can press the space bar. The establishing shot is supposed to be a camera that revolves around your position point, but for some reason it's not working. It could be conflicting with something else, or I could have missed something. So I'm going to reset and disable the establishing shot because I'm not going to use that. Next section is intro text. Now the first line, second line and third line are the bits of the text that will come up when you are using this. You've got 3 different styles here. I'm going to use the first one, and I'm going to have a delay of 5 seconds. And when I press OK and start the mission, it will give you a little bit of text on the screen and sort of a very basic, quick introduction to the mission. So I've set a delay of 5 seconds, and there you see bottom right we have Urban Ops Basics by me, and the time is 11:30. That's all that does. So back in Attributes General, I'm going to reset and disable that. Now there's a couple of things here that may be of interest to people who have maybe some community members that are a little bit trigger happy. This will end the mission if you use this. So I've got a threshold here of 5, and I've got civilian marked here. So the mission will end when 5 civilians have been killed. So if you use that and you let your guys know that, hey, if you kill 5 civilians, the mission will end, so be careful. Maybe just something you want to consider if you've got the possibility that that might happen. Now there's music, sound and radio settings. I have not played with this at all. I'll be honest with you. I don't know what it does. If there's anyone that knows what it does and knows how to use it and thinks it's worth knowing, please let us know in the comments section. It also has at the bottom here single player respawn. So as if you're creating a single player mission, you can use this system as a respawn position or respawn system. But if you are using multiplayer, then you need to use multiplayer respawn systems. Now in Attributes Environment, you have these settings here, which are your standard ones that you get with the Eden Editor. And you've got additional ones here that are provided. I think these are Eden Enhanced ones. So you can manually override all of these things and change the rain, lightning, waves, wind, and visual settings. That's something you can play with under the environmental settings. Now if we go to multiplayer, we've got similar sort of stuff to what you'd have in the normal Eden Editor, but we also have a tickets system. So you can have respawn tickets for Blue 4, Op 4, Independent, Civilian, save loadouts on respawn. You can also tick this to enable dynamic groups, and you can also edit the AI skill settings for Blue 4, Op 4 and Independent. Okay, so that's something you can do with the multiplayer settings under the Attributes tab. Now with performance, you've got a garbage collector. I'm not sure, I think that's an Eden Enhanced thing. And dynamic simulation settings for characters, manned vehicles, props, empty vehicles, that sort of stuff. Now I'm going to show you some stuff you can do with the Tools menu, which gives you all these additional options here. Now I don't use all of these, and to be honest, I don't know what some of these do, but the ones I do use, I will show you. So if you go to Tools and down to Utilities, which is the first one, you have a jukebox, which has got to do with the playing of the default music or sound effects in Arma 3. I don't use it, don't know how to use it. Moon phases, that one's an easy one. If you're playing a mission at night and you want full moonlight, you can click on the moon phase that's the brightest, click on set, and that will then set the date, which will correspond to a night with a full moon. Back to Utilities. Now again, Eden Radio, something to do with playing of music. Camera positions, I don't know how to use that. Texture Finder, if you are into playing with textures. Briefing Editor, now this is something that I've had a little bit of a look at before. I'm not sure if this is something you use in the game or the editor, but it looks like you can create a briefing with that, but I've never really played around with it too much. So that's all your utility stuff that I know how to use. Then you've got placement tools. Now with this, you can use this on troops, I believe, as well as vehicles. Placement tools, and I want to orientate these guys to the north, and it switches their position. So they're all now facing directly north. So that's a pretty simple one. You've got alignment tools and spacing tools here that you can play with. The next thing I'm going to show you is the loadout tools. And this is best demonstrated with a vehicle. So I'm just going to select the vehicle, go to tools, loadout tools, and across to vehicle inventory manager. Now you'll see at this point in time, this is on the right hand side, the contents of that vehicle. This is what it has. It currently has 5 bananas, 2 sets of binoculars, and 4 cans of soft drink or soda from my friends across the pond. Now, if I want to drag some of these over, if I want to put some of these into the vehicle, you can't drag, you can't double click. What you've got to do is select the item you want and then use your arrow keys on your keyboard and hit the right arrow key, and then you can add those items. So I'll add one of those, and I think I'll add a couple of those, and maybe one of those. And if you go to filter and you want to change what it is, let's go to launches. Let's have a couple of Moore's launches. Let's have a Panzerfaust. Then we go to magazines. We can select magazines. I think you get the idea. If you want to remove one of these, I'll take the Panzerfaust, and you want to take it out of the vehicle inventory, you press the left arrow key on your keyboard, and that will take it away. You hit save, close, and now that vehicle has those items in its inventory. And now I'm not sure that this works on troops, but I'm going to give it a go. So let me go to loadout tools and remove everything. Oh, hey, there you go. It works on troops as well. So if I wanted to now go to tools, loadout tools, and remove just the headgear, there you go. So it does work on troops, and obviously this is probably going to work on all of these guys at the same time. Remove weapons. All of a sudden they're all weaponless. So that's something that you can do as a mass group if you want to play with their loadouts. Let me just try something else I haven't tried before. I'm going to highlight just the one guy. I'm going to go to loadout tool and copy the loadout. And I'm going to go to this guy and go to tools, loadout tools, and apply loadout. Well, there you go. It's switched this loadout to this guy. So that's something you can do with all of your troops. Another thing you can do, and I'm pretty sure this is specific to Eden Enhanced, is you can right click on the vehicle and go to edit vehicle appearance. Now you can edit some vehicles appearance quite a bit, and others you can't do much with at all. But this is one of the vehicles, the LAV25, produced by the 3CB mod guys, that is fairly editable. So first thing I'm going to do is to go to components, and you can check and uncheck these if you want to hide or show different objects. So I'm going to hide the IED counter. I'm going to allow all these other things, backpacks, jerry cans, shovels, spare wheels, tools, and a tow rope. So you'll be able to see all of this stuff on the vehicle, and just click OK, and you'll now notice that you can see the cage at the back, jerry cans, backpacks, tow rope, spare wheels, all that sort of thing. You can also go to change the camouflage or paint scheme of the vehicle. So this has got a whole heap of things. You've got the MERDC paint schemes for winter, trees, open terrain, red desert, desert grey, Horizon Defence Force colours, desert, AAF, and my personal favourite, the Australian Army. So you can set all of those sorts of things up on the vehicle, and when you click OK, then it will show you all the stuff and all the changes you've made. And if you want to get more than one of these, of course you can Control C and then Control V without having to do all that all over again, and that's really handy. Let's see what else we've got in the tools. Now if we go to there's another vehicle customization tool, so you could probably copy the customizations that you've made and apply it to other. I'm going to click on this one and try this one, which is a random vehicle customization. So it basically applies a random. Now, if I go to this one, back to settings, tools, copy, and then go to this one, tools, and apply, then it's going to switch it back because I've copied it from this vehicle. Okay, we've got debug tools. Again, I've not really used any of this sort of stuff. Show map IDs. Yeah, I don't really know what that does, to be honest, because I've never played with it. I've never had a need. You've got debug tools here. You've got GUI tools. Again, I don't really play with those. You've got some other stuff here in the miscellaneous. You can delete empty layers. So that'll take out any empty layers that you've placed. Miscellaneous tools. You can export the mission parameters. You can generate a Steam description. So if you wanted to type all your stuff up here about stuff that you wanted to publish to Steam, it's put in there the title for you. Mission description, respawn system, respawn enabled, environment, those sorts of things. Obviously you can edit those and play with those and do with those you like. Back to miscellaneous tools, you can toggle the grass on and off. You can create simple objects, toggle simulations, dynamic simulations, those sorts of things. AI features, yep. Now for simple objects, this table is already a simple object. So in tools, miscellaneous tools, toggle simple object. Now it is not a simple object and can be used, although it's a table. I mean, what more can you do with it? And because it's a simple object and it's something you just use to lean on or put things on, I'm going to change it back to a simple object. And the benefit of doing that is it uses far less resources in the mission, simple objects do. So basically it's a static prop and there's no simulation attached to it, so it really doesn't do much other than look good. Set marker alpha. So that will set the color of your markers, I'm guessing, if you've placed markers down. So they are the basic features and functions of Eden Enhanced and the things that you can do with it. I think it's an essential tool for mission makers. There are features and functions in there that I don't use, I don't know how to use, and I'm sure that there'll be someone in the comment section that will give you better advice on some of those features that look a little more advanced and I don't use them. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section below. You can visit on our Discord. The link is in the description below. Please, when you grab Eden Enhanced off the workshop, give those guys a thumbs up because it is a really good mod and I don't think I know any mission makers that don't use it. Also be aware that if you do use it in a co-op mission or a multiplayer mission, all your players that join your server will also be required to run Eden Enhanced for all of the stuff in the mission that you've placed with that mod to work. So make sure everyone's got it. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.